All right, what's up? It's Mike D, and in this video, we're going to be talking about guitar pickups. So what I want to do is talk about how they affect your sound, the different types of pickups there are, what I personally like to use, and then how those are going to compare to what I currently have access to in this Kiesel. And then I'm also going to talk about my personal process on how I like to compare and contrast pickups from the different guitars that I have, and also provide you with some resources that you could check out to hear the differences in other pickups that you may be considering for your guitar, or how I'm able to kind of get an idea of what the different types of pickups sound like from Kiesel that I have options for in building my own guitar. All right, so the pickups in an electric guitar are, in my opinion, one of the biggest, if not the biggest factor in the overall tone of the guitar. Now, the woods that the guitar are made out of have another huge impact as well. Different woods have different tonal qualities. Some are brighter, some are warmer, some have more sustain. How you build the guitar also has a big factor in all of those things. But the pickups are, the last point in contact before it gets out into the amplifier, and it's what picks up all the sound. So it is really one of the things that really dictates the tone out of the amplifier. And fortunately, it's one of the ways that's very easy and inexpensive to change if you're not happy with what you got going on. Because basically, the pickups in an electric guitar are just wired in the back under the plate or under the pickup connector here to the pots and controls. And if you want to swap them out, it's basically just unsoldering some wires, putting in your new pickups that you want to use, and resoldering them. Of course, work with a professional, to do that if you're interested in trying it out. But, if you don't like the body wood or the top wood or something like that, you're not going to change it on your guitar. You just go get a different guitar with a different type of wood. But again, the pickups are very easy to change out and adjust the tonal qualities of your guitar. So that's something to keep in mind about guitar pickups in general. So now let's talk about the different types of pickups that there are. Okay, so looking at this Kiesel, this again is an Aries, and this uses their own pickups, which are called lithium pickups. Now, these are what you call humbucker pickups. Basically, they're two single coil pickups side by side. Now, this guitar has pickup cover plates on them, okay, kind of like a Les Paul does or other similar styles. But basically, what goes on underneath that, if you look at my Ibanez here, is that you have two single coil pickups right next to each other, okay? So these two guitar pickups are what you call humbucker pickups, and the middle one here is what you call a single coil pickup, much more seen in something like a Strat, a Telecaster, and things like that. All right, so the main difference is that humbucker pickups generally have more output. They're a little bit fatter, a little bit stronger, and they definitely have a different tonal quality. They also are called humbucker pickups because the way they're wired, they cancel out any hum that may happen. I'm not going to get too into that, but there's plenty of videos to read more about it. Single coil pickups, depending on what pickup it is and how it's wired, sometimes will create an extra hum in your guitar amp, but sometimes it's just a good thing and it creates a nice character depending on the tone. But they call them humbuckers because, again, they buckle the hum. They cancel out hum. But again, I usually use humbucker pickups because they're better for rock, soloing. They just have a fatter, thicker sound, and they do better with thick distortion and lead tones, in my opinion. But again, there's always exceptions. So what's used, again, in this Aries guitar are lithium pickups. Those are made by Kiesel, and they're hand wound, and they sound great. What we're going to do is a little comparison in a minute, and what I want to also do is talk about the other pickups that I'm used to and seeing how they compare to this. So that's in the Kiesel that I currently have access to. And again, I'll show the Ibanez. Now, this is kind of more my lead shredding guitar. It really is great at playing fast, and it really likes those distorted tones and lead tones. So in this guitar, I replaced the stock pickups that it came with and put in DiMarzio pickups. So what I have here is in the neck pickup, this is a DiMarzio Air Norton, and in the back, it's a Tone Zone. These are similar to a very old setup that John Petrucci used, I think in his early Ibanez guitars or models that he used a while ago. These were developed in something that he used, and I really like the tone of these. The middle pickup is the stock pickup that came with the guitar, which I really don't use at all. And then in my Strat, my main Strat that I have, what I did, because again, this Strat uses, a typical Strat has single coil pickups, but these are what they call Seymour Duncan hot rails. And what they are is actually a humbucker pickup. If you could see it, there's two rails there. And basically it's a humbucking pickup made to fit into the size of a single coil pickup. Again, I like, the sound of a humbucker. It's got more distortion. It handles distortion better. It's got more output. It's a little bit thicker. So I replaced all of these with those pickups. So again, I'm very used to using humbuckers, and it's what I'll be using in my own guitar that I'm building. Also behind me on the wall there is another Strat. Those got custom 59s, which is much more of a classic pickup sound. That's more of like a bluesy type of sound that you'll find. Again, this one has a lot more of a lead tone and does, distortion better. So those are the pickups that, I'm currently using in my guitars that I'm very used to. So the goal is, while I have the Kiesel here, is to do an A/B comparison and see how the sound of Kiesel pickups sound compared to my ones that I'm used to. Okay, so the one other thing I wanted to mention about pickups before I get into doing some actual testing and A/Bing is the pickup selector. So this is something, obviously you've seen it on guitars, it's what selects the pickup that's being used. So in the back position, on this one's got a 5-way switch. All my guitars have 5-way switches. And actually I'm excited because I never use all 5 positions. I only ever use 3 positions. So in the guitar I'm going to be building with Kiesel, I'm definitely going to be looking to use a 3-way switch. And that's something you could see and is typically used on something like a Les Paul, where the pickup selector is on top and basically you have 3 different positions. On Strats and a lot of other guitars with what we call a blade switch, there's 5 different positions that you could use. So all the way up front is typically just the front neck pickup. That's going to give you a kind of warmer, thick tone. Then if you go back one towards the bridge, it usually does what you call splitting the pickup. I believe that's the right term. There's 2 terms called coil tapping and coil splitting. But splitting, I believe, is the actual proper way to actually talk about what's happening. And when you split this humbucker pickup, you actually just take one of the pickups and it uses it as a single coil. So something it's a little bit easier to see on the Ibanez, where you could see both pickups. So when I'm in this position, for example, and I come back one, it's only using this front or the back single coil. I'm not sure if it's using that one or the front single coil. The thing with pickups is that there are actually a lot of different ways that you could have them wired. So it really depends on what you have, and of course with Kiesel, they're going to be available and they're going to ask and be able to wire the pickups any which way that I want. And I'll talk about what I plan to do soon. So then when you come into the middle position, this is using just the middle pickup, all right, on this guitar. I have to actually ask, because I'm not sure on the Kiesel, when you're in the middle position, that could kind of be one of 2 things when you have just 2 humbuckers. It could be using both humbuckers, or it could be using each single coil of the humbuckers and then make it a new humbucker, if you will. So in other words, it's going to take the inside humbucker and then it acts as a humbucking pickup, but just from 2 different sets of pickups. Okay? And then on the back position here, or the second to last position towards the bridge, I believe it's just using the 1 pickup in the bridge pickup. And then when you're all the way back, it's using the full humbucker in the back. So that's what 5-way switches usually do. Now, what I only use are 3 positions. So I only ever use the full back in the bridge pickup. I usually use that for, distorted rhythm tones and also lead. Okay, so if I'm on some distortion and I'm chunking along or playing some rhythms, usually almost always with distortion. It's a very bright sound. Basically, when you're back, it's going to be bright. As you come forward, it's going to be warmer and thicker. But this position I only ever use for rhythm with distortion and some lead guitar as well. Then I have all the way up front. I use that mostly for lead tones again, but it's a nice thicker, warmer sound. It's a little more round. Okay, these things are the they're characteristics on describing sound, but if you just get your guitar and try it yourself, you'll really hear what I see, and you can use your own adjectives to describe what you're hearing. So I only use this for lead. I really don't use it for clean much. Sometimes I do for some bluesy rhythm type stuff. And then the only other position I use is back one. I think they call that the 2-4 position, but depending on your guitar, you know, that's the position I only ever use for clean tones. Okay, so if I have a clean sound, that's almost always the pickup that I use, or the position that I use. So the only three things I'm looking for is, what do I use for my really good clean tone? What do I use for my lead tone and rhythm? And then lead on the neck. So again, a three-way position is all I'm looking to do, because I never ever use these other two positions. And that's just me. You could certainly use it. They have applications and you could certainly use it. But for my personal guitar, I don't want more options on it than I'm ever going to use. So I'm looking to just put those three on there. The other thing that you could actually do is use what you call push-pull pots to create variations. So either on the volume or the tone knob, they could actually create a pot that pops up. And when that happens, you could have that function differently. Usually what you do is a different type of coil split. So in other words, let's say in the middle, or this position here, up one and back one, it's using just this as a single coil. Now, if I also want to do a different scenario where I use the two middle single coils and act as a humbucker, I could have them wire a push-pull pot. So when I pop it up, it now acts as a humbucker in this position. So that is something I may be asking them to do, because again, it gives you a different tonal quality and has a use for probably some more clean tones. So anyways, that is the pickup selector and how you have it wired. Again, wiring can be a pretty deep science. You want to really work with a guitar shop or a guitar tech that knows how to wire things. Most pickups will come with the standard wiring diagram. But again, there's a lot of options than the way it comes. So if you're interested in examining or checking out some different ways that you can wire your own setup, look into it. Do the research. It's all there on YouTube and other, searches that you could find. So hopefully that helps. And now